Afternoon, Greg. How you doing? Hard to tell.
I'm good, John. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Another nice day in the neighborhood. I think I saw. Yeah, Jim, you're here. Would you mind turning on your camera? And the other commissioners, if I don't see you, there you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Martha, Jana, afternoon, Commissioner Blankenship. I do not see Jeremy here. Jenny, is Jeremy around?
He sure is. He's
I'm
just joined.
here.
Okay, there you are. We are missing John and Curtis. Is that right?
I'm here, John. I'm just in transit, so I've not turned my camera on.
Okay, well, I'd hate to see you in transit.
And Commissioner Davis should be joining shortly. He was having a problem with the invite.
I know that. Well, if members of the public would turn off your cameras, I'd appreciate it so we can just get a look at our good-looking commissioners here. And maybe we'll just start and hope that John shows up. Is that appropriate? Silence means yes.
I'll give you a verbal yes.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Commissioner John Slutsky. This is a meeting of the Colorado Air Quality Control Commission. It is Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. It is 4:31 in the afternoon, and we are convening this meeting today online via Zoom. Please be advised that this meeting will be recorded and streamed live via YouTube. The recording will also be made available for public viewing after this event. This meeting will be interpreted into Spanish, and we will start with a language justice statement and instructions from the Environmental Justice Interpretation Specialist, Tanya Johnson. Tanya?
Thank you, Commissioner Slutsky. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanya, and I'm the staff Spanish interpreter for the Office of Environmental Justice at CDPHE. Today, I'm working with my colleague, Janet Ramirez, and I'm going to read the Zoom instructions and the language justice statement, first in Spanish, and then I will repeat it in English. Hola, buenas tardes. Me llamo Tania y soy la intérprete de la Oficina de Justicia Ambiental del Departamento de Salud Pública y Medio Ambiente de Colorado. Hoy estoy trabajando con mi colega, Janet Ramírez. Antes de comenzar, quiero asegurarme de que todas y todos hayan seleccionado el idioma adecuado en Zoom. Si prefieren escuchar la presentación en español, hagan clic en el globito que aparecerá en la parte inferior de la pantalla de la computadora y seleccionen español bajo interpretación. Si están usando un teléfono celular o una tableta, hagan clic en los 3 puntos que están a la derecha donde dice More o Más y elijan el español como su idioma de preferencia. Las y los integrantes de la comunidad están invitados a hacer sus comentarios en español si así lo prefieren. Nuestra organización ha asumido el compromiso de fomentar la justicia lingüística. Invitamos a la comunidad a usar su idioma de preferencia para participar en la reunión. Les agradecemos que hablen lenta y pausadamente y que usen palabras comunes para que sea más fácil de interpretar. And English. Before we get started, I would like to direct everyone to the appropriate language channel on Zoom. In a moment, a small globe will appear at the bottom of your screen. Please click on it to select your preferred language. If you are on a tablet or phone, click the 3 dots to the right of your screen that says More and select your language there. During the meeting, there may be community members who choose to give their comments in Spanish. If you are not bilingual, you will need to click the English option to be able to hear any interpretation. Clicking the English option will not affect how you hear the meeting otherwise. As an organization, we are committed to language justice. We would like to invite community members to participate in the meeting using their language of preference. In order to facilitate interpretation, please speak at a conversational pace, pause often, and use commonly understood vocabulary. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Tanya. Public comment will begin this evening very shortly, around 4:40 p.m., and the commission will offer 2 minutes for each public commenter and 3 minutes for elected officials. We have a quorum of air quality control commissioners today, including myself, Curtis Reeder, Greg Thomas, Dan Blankenship, Jana Milford, Martha Rudolph, Jonathan Davis, and Jim Sewell. Shelley Miller is absent. We are also supported today by our staff, Jeremy Murray, our administrator, Robin Willey, Commission Counsel, Corey Holler, our Commission Counsel, and Jenny Ray, our Program Coordinator. And at this point, I'm going to pass the virtual gavel over to Commissioner Greg Thomas, who is our hearing chair, and he will conduct the public comment. Greg, all yours.
Thank you, Commissioner Slutsky. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. And to the regulation 24, 26, and 30 around toxic air contaminants and emission control regulations. We'll start the public session, public comment session. Members of the public will have 2 minutes to speak. We will offer 3 minutes for any elected officials. The public is invited to provide oral public comment on regs 24, 26, and 30, and on any air pollution issue of their choosing, whether it is on the agenda or not. Please note that commissioners have read all written public comments, and these comments are part of the hearing record. In the interest of time and hearing from all voices, if you have already provided written comments and were planning to read your comments, please consider just noting that you provided written comments, and we will move to the next commenter. The commission may not take action on issues discussed during this general public comment period. Such matters may be scheduled for further discussion or action at a later date. Spoken comments provided during this time and written comments submitted in advance will be incorporated into the rulemaking record and may be referenced during those meetings. The session may end early if all commenters that are registered and in attendance have had an opportunity to speak. I'll call on names in the order shown on the screen. You may then unmute to speak or press *6 if you are on the phone. If you have any technical difficulties, please send a chat to Jenny or raise your hand by using the raise hand function or by pushing *9 if you're on the phone. I ask that everyone please stay on time. Each person will receive 2 minutes, 3 minutes for public officials to speak in order to accommodate everyone who has signed up. We will start now with Tyke James.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Tyke James, and I serve as the Senior Environmental Justice Campaign Manager at Conservation Colorado, the state's largest environmental advocacy organization. I urge the Air Quality Control Commission to adopt meaningful and durable controls for the 5P tax under Regulation 30. As drafted, the control strategies fall short of HB 22-1244's requirements to reduce emissions for each PTAC and to prioritize reductions in DI communities facing multiple PTAC sources. In your deliberation to finalize this rule, please consider the following. 1. Apply PTAC pollution thresholds and control requirements across all industries with no carve-outs, and require prompt controls for existing sources, high-risk sources, and facilities with a history of exceedances. 2. Adopt clear, health-protective location criteria based on proximity to occupied areas and disproportionately impacted communities, including a consistent buffer zone of at least 1 mile. Use a transparent publicly accessible mapping tool to implement and communicate the location and buffer criteria. 4. Prioritize reductions of formaldehyde and hydrogen sulfide in disproportionately impacted communities facing multiple PTAC sources. And 5, use a cautious screening approach and strong protections. Do not rely on forecasted actual emissions if it could delay controls. Keep ethylene oxide controls in place despite the federal ruling, and set strong control requirements from the start for new or modified PTAC sources. Every day, Coloradans pay the health and economic cost of air toxics in our communities, and I believe that the Commission has an opportunity to deliver meaningful, long-lasting improvements for the people of Colorado. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tyke. Next up, Shayna Oliver.
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Thank you. Shayna Oliver, Indigenous Peoples' Right to Advocate, field organizer for Moms Clean Air Force Colorado and Eco Madres, a community of 1.6 million parents, united for our children, for our children's health, and with 44,000 Colorado members here. Today, I'm testifying on behalf of Colorado parents who are counting on your leadership to prioritize our most vulnerable communities and frontline workers through common sense air toxic protections, especially those that safeguard children's and maternal health, ensuring health-based standards are used to address the effects of multiple air toxics that can be breathed in together. Importantly, I'm a Native American parent of 4 enrolled members of the Navajo Nation residing in Denver. My family of 6 lives, works, learns, and plays within 5 miles of Suncor Refinery. Early mornings and weekends are often marked by strong foul odors. Communities even closer to the refinery endure far harsher conditions that are equally lethal to our health. If I walk out at the wrong time of the day, the effects can be debilitating to the mind and body. I can't go out without being nauseated or getting headaches, leaving me foggy for 1 to 2 days. My youngest son and I both have asthma. According to the American Lung Association State of the Air Report, the Denver Metropolitan ranks 6 worst regions for ground level ozone pollution, and it forces us to stay indoors. Moms Clean Air Force and Eco Madres Colorado urge your leadership to hold industries responsible for being out of compliance and not maintaining their facilities. All existing sources at facilities must be monitored, reduced with no grandfathering of emissions from existing sources, no exemptions, protect our children's health and disproportionately impacted communities. We know Suncor Refinery is a major violator of significant source emitter of hydrogen sulfide, benzene, formaldehyde, and hexavalent chromium. Thank you.
Thank you, Shayna. Next, Sarah Dawn Pearlstein.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Hi, thanks. Okay. Hello. When I first moved to Colorado, I was not living in a disproportionately impacted community, and I was not experiencing chronic breathing problems. After I later moved into a disproportionately impacted community, I began having ongoing trouble breathing. Over time, my condition worsened. After surgeries, I now have a vocal cord that obstructs more than 3/4 of my airway, which makes me especially sensitive to air pollution. My symptoms vary day to day and throughout most days, and I've noticed they improve after heavy rain, which suggests air pollution plays a real role. I can't breathe. Construction activity, chemical use, with these occurring daily where I live, and poor air quality make breathing harder for me, even indoors. I rely heavily on multiple air and multiple water purifiers just to manage daily life. I'm not suggesting management where I live isn't following rules, but scientific evidence indicates change is necessary. It is so very expensive to constantly buy all the new filters needed for my many air purifiers. They require filter replacement at a higher rate due to this poor air quality. I have to choose breathing over food often. When we talk about air toxins such as formaldehyde, benzene, and other hazardous pollutants, they directly affect people's ability to breathe. While disproportionately impacted communities bear a greater burden, air toxins don't stay contained. Eventually, they affect everyone. Strong protective health standards are essential. This isn't just about so-called high-risk communities. Air toxins don't stop at property lines. Even people who believe they're protected can experience health effects without realizing air pollution is the cause. Symptoms can be inconsistent, delayed, or hard to trace, which makes harmful exposure easy to overlook, especially in disproportionately impacted communities. Strong health protective rules matter because clean air isn't optional, it's essential. Let's keep Colorado as a role model for clean air and water. I thank the Commission for keeping real human health at the center of these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Finn Jackson. Finn Jackson.
Hello, um, I'm Finn Jackson. Thanks for letting me speak tonight. So I'm here, I'm speaking on an item that's not on the agenda, and I know some folks have spoken about it at your meetings before, which is the Valmont coal plant in Boulder. It's right across from where I work, and the plan for cleaning up the coal ash hasn't come to the AQCC yet, but yeah, we're just, a bunch of us are just trying to come to these meetings and just ask that, the AQCC, if it's reviewed by y'all, to, just take the pollutants into the, maximum consideration. Coal ash is just super nasty, and if they're to dig it up and transport it all throughout, wherever they're taking it to turn into concrete, there's just a chance that those pollutants will leak and blow around. And, working right across the street from it, it's just something that concerns me a lot. So, yeah, I was just coming here to talk about that tonight. And yeah, thanks for letting me speak.
Okay, looks like I'm having internet connection instability issues. So I apologize if you're not hearing me. Can I get
I hear you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up, Lauren Swain. Thank you, Finn. Lauren Swain. Okay, we'll move on. We'll come back. Elizabeth Gillespie. Elizabeth Gillespie. Okay, we'll come back. Holly Olivares.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Dr. Holly Olivares. I'm a climate scientist. I work and live in Golden. I'm also a mom. My grown kids live in Denver and Golden. Recently, I was accepted to be a member of the Community Council for Environmental Justice and Air Quality. I'm not speaking for the Community Council today. I'm speaking for myself. And so I don't represent any organization, but I was motivated to start learning about Regulation 30 just as a concerned citizen. Every morning when I wake up, I check my weather app to see what the air quality rating is going to be for the day. For example, today is rated fair in Golden, and I woke up with an irritated throat. I also purchased a HEPA filtered device to clean the air in my bedroom. This coming Friday through Sunday are projected to be poor. On days when air pollution is poor, I have to stay inside, and sometimes I have to use an inhaler. My immune system has been weakened, so most of the time when I leave my house, I still wear a mask. When the temperatures are warm, closing my windows gets pretty uncomfortable because my house doesn't have air conditioning. But as it goes for Regulation 30, if air toxics were reduced in my area, my quality of life and health would improve. I came today to ask you for your leadership in reducing air toxics for all residents, with those who are most vulnerable prioritized first. This includes highly populated areas and those who live in close proximity, as Shayna mentioned, to the biggest polluters. I also hope you'll enact strict policy to hold industries responsible when they're out of compliance and or do not maintain their facilities. And also, please always remember, these reports come in with the effects of one toxic, but put them together, you've compounded the problem. And we have to prioritize our habitat. It's all we've got. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, Ben Showalter.
Oh, it's saying my video's disabled by the host. So maybe I can just talk audio. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can talk, and if Jenny or someone else can
Oh,
turn
it
on
looks
your
like
video.
I got access.
Yep,
There you go.
you're good.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity to comment today on regulation numbers 24, 26, and 30 control strategies for toxic air contaminants. My name is Ben Schwalter, and I'm a family physician and a climate and health policy fellow at the Environmental Defense Fund. I've seen both personally and through my practice in primary care the effects of air toxics on human health. Air quality remains a significant health concern, especially as the federal government continues to roll back important protections from toxic air exposure. While it is encouraging to see some folks in the industry sector in Colorado acknowledge this public health crisis and expand their efforts lowering air toxic pollution, there is still a lot of work to do to ensure control strategies are sufficiently protective of public health. While there is good intention, many aspects of the proposed control strategies are concerning to me as a healthcare provider. In particular, I'm concerned about the wholesale benzene exemption for upstream and midstream oil and gas sources. To help illustrate why this matters, I work in a tribal clinic that serves many disadvantaged people. They often do not have adequate housing or work long hours in outdoor occupations. Just over the last couple months, I've cared for a single mother with much worse allergies than prior years, a pregnant mother who is now at increased risk of premature delivery, and a grandfather who is at increased risk of being in the ER for an exacerbation of his COPD. The last thing these patients need is to leave my exam room, also worrying about their increased cancer risk from the air they breathe. The industries that are emitting these priority air toxics need to be held more accountable. I appreciate the identification of the disadvantaged communities, but I think we all know that air toxics do not just stop at the borders of these communities. Now is the time to be stricter on these strategies for the sake of human health and future generations. Thank you for your time.
Evan Bonnie, are you there? Okay, we'll come back. Brian Powell. Okay. Steve Yausi.
Good afternoon. My name's, can you see me? My name's Steve Yowsey, and I've been a Colorado resident for 50 years. As I've made many comments to this board in the past, I want you to remember me as an outdoor enthusiast who cares deeply about clean air and water. As a retired small business owner and now part-time ski instructor, we can all see how this last year was very detrimental to small businesses, especially in our mountain communities with the lack of snow. The last thing all these small businesses need is more regulations with hidden fees that will affect their bottom line. What will our mountain towns look like if these regulations pass down to the small business owners? Will it even have any effect on air quality? I depend on these small businesses to survive so that our tourism supports people coming to Colorado next year to ski. All these new fees are already driving out many businesses, as we have seen, with businesses facing a 67% increase in hidden fees to fund these air quality programs. So my question is, how are these fees going to do anything to improve air quality? Last year, Colorado recorded the fewest days of ozone noncompliance since 2009. And this was done not by regulations, but things out of our control. Please consider other factors that play into air quality, like wildfires and weather patterns. You're trying to control nature with a fee structure that only hurts our economy, as it will drive out business, and those that stay here have to pass these costs on to our consumers if they stay in business. Let us come up with more sensible solutions that will benefit everyone and not cost our already struggling economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next up, we have Stephen Patterson.
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Stephen Patterson. I'm a father, a husband, and a resident of Colorado for more than 35 years. I've worked in operations and logistics for more than 30 of that, working out of stationary facilities in Aurora and Denver that are about to be targeted by these new proposals. Now I work for a large national and international company, and even I can see how these regulations and associated fees could potentially price us out of the market and therefore cause the loss of my job and many others. My family and I spend a lot of our time outdoors, and this environment is exactly why I moved to Colorado all those years ago. I believe in taking personal responsibility for my actions. I believe we are all called to be good stewards of all that's been given to us and entrusted to us. So just like you, I believe that taking care of our air quality and the environment here in Colorado is the right thing to do. But how we do that is just as important. That is why I'm taking this action here today. Regulations on these PTACs without specific research for a clear path to improvement is simply seen as government overreach and a cash grab or a power grab. The cost associated with unconstrained regulations becomes burdensome and unrealistic to everyday Coloradans. That means people like my family, my neighbors, and my friends, we all bear these costs. They are prohibitive, and these regulations and fees continue to raise the cost and prices of products associated with our local businesses and industries. Then at that point, we're forced to evaluate whether or not Colorado is still the right place for us. Are we heard and valued here? As a member of a group affected by these burdensome regulations, I urge you to weigh the costs of the actions you're about to undertake and its direct and inevitable negative effects on Colorado businesses and industries. What businesses might be lost? Which families could become displaced? Will our air quality actually get any better? Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Stephen. Next up, Michael Edwards.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
No, okay. As someone who has lived in Colorado for 19 years, I'm submitting this comment as a concerned citizen. My name is Mike Edwards. I moved here to be near my son, daughter, and grandkids. I spent 32 years in the oil business in California before retiring. It provided me with good wages and great benefits. Last year, my oldest grandson and wife moved to Texas because of the high cost of living in Colorado. About 16 years ago, my son decided to open a small restaurant in Johnstown, where we live. I worked with him for over a year during construction to get it started. The restaurant business works on small margins, and I've seen the negative effects of government's intervention during the COVID years. Colorado government's mandated minimum wage increases over several years made it hard to survive. Johnstown is a growing area, and I would like to see it to be business friendly. We enjoy all the new businesses that have been started, but adding more regulations and fees will make it hard for them to survive. As an example, we decided, because of these wage increases and regulations, to sell our business in 2024. Government does not understand how seemingly good regulations impact small businesses. Increasing fees and regulations on P-tax only increases the negative impact on businesses, jobs, and cost of living. I urge the Commission to consider research on how effective these new standards would benefit air quality. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Michael. Next up, Gary Bean. Gary Bean?
Gary's here.
We can hear you.
My camera is off by your staff. I want to start my video.
Go ahead, Gary.
Hello.
Good to see you.
My name is Gary Bean, and I'm a native of Colorado. I grew up in Lamar College and USC Pueblo. When I was 19 years old, I joined the Colorado Army National Guard, served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and in Saudi Arabia. I continue to serve my community here in Denver with my involvement with the VFW Post 9644. As quartermaster of the post, I directly see the impact of your regulations that have on our communities. The VFW is nonprofit, and it depends on grants, donations, volunteers, both man hours and materials to keep itself maintained and to further the mission of the post, which is to continue to help support the veterans in need. This is a time when our small businesses are already struggling and can't afford to fund to support the VFWs. When your standard of compliance encompasses large farms, cities, large hospitals, restaurants, and truck stops, then you try to use that same standard of compliance on the smaller farms, the towns, the rural hospitals, restaurants, and gas stations. Your one-size-fits-none compliances do not fit any one identity. In fact, this brings in overregulation. You are setting standards that are not realistic for all of our communities to meet. Please, if I may ask, just ensure that you have a clear plan for these priority toxic air contamination standards of compliance and that you have clear priorities set. Our citizens, which are many veterans, depends on your decisions today. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Gary. Next up, we have Robin Richard.
Hello, my name is Robin Richard. I'm an internal medicine physician caring for adults with multiple and complex medical conditions in southwestern Colorado since 2003. I speak on behalf of myself and Healthy Air and Water Colorado, a statewide group of health professionals concerned about the impacts of pollution on health, and I'm here to urge you to set strong PTAC control strategies to uplift the well-being of all Coloradans. PTACs harm my patients, the vast majority of whom have illnesses and diseases caused by or made worse by PTAC exposure. Coloradans throughout the state bear substantial personal and economic costs from PTAC-induced acute and chronic illnesses. The current draft rules, while well-intentioned, contain many gaps in providing adequate health protections. The proposed rules allow exemptions or extensions for industries that substantially contribute to PTAC emissions. For example, oil and gas operations, particularly active in my own community. Exemptions and extensions run counter to the goal of reducing PTAC exposures. Communities immediately benefit from reduced pollution, Delays mean preventable disease and death. Suggested control strategies allow inconsistent enforcement. Air toxics do not become less harmful because emissions fluctuate. Protections must consistently apply to every year to every emitter. The proposed rules insufficiently account for emitting facilities just beyond, but still harmful to disproportionately impact communities, and inadequately addresses the harms of cumulative and multiple PTAC exposures many people experience. Thus, communities facing the greatest PTAC harms will continue to experience the highest levels of exposure. Control strategies must apply to all major emitters, eliminate exemptions and extensions, have robust enforcement mechanisms, center the communities facing the highest pollution burdens, and fully reflect current and evolving knowledge of PTAC pollution health harms. We ask you to implement robust control strategies that address the above concerns so our communities can thrive. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next up, Hermione Ryan. Hermine? Hermine Ryan? Okay, we'll come back. Elizabeth Relford.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Hello, I'm Elizabeth Relford, Executive Director of the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization, and I'm here on behalf of our 15-member elected official council to invite the AQCC to support and attend a fall Intermountain West Ozone Exchange Conference that we are hosting in partnership with our Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. As you know, ozone levels are no longer responding as anticipated to reductions in man-made precursor pollutants. Over the past decade, Colorado and other Intermountain West states have implemented meaningful policies that have reduced emissions of the primary ozone precursor pollutants, NOx and VOCs. These reductions represent real progress and demonstrate the commitment of our state, local governments, and industry that they have to improve air quality. However, despite these efforts, ozone levels across the region have not declined at the pace that science and policy anticipated. Increasingly, evidence suggests that there are other atmospheric chemistry factors playing a larger role than previously understood, and these factors are beyond the authority of any one state or local government to control. Yet under federal law, areas that are designated as non-attainment must still reduce ozone by focusing primarily on local reductions of NOx and VOCs. This creates a difficult situation for regions like ours that are doing the right things locally but are still facing challenges to meet national standards. That is why the North Front Range MPO and PPACG are trying to obtain financial support to host a 2 to 3 day conference discussing ozone science and challenges in the Intermountain West. This grassroots event would bring together approximately 500 participants, including researchers, air quality planning agencies, federal and state officials, local governments, community representatives, and industry leaders. The goal of this gathering is straightforward but important: to create a neutral, collaborative venue where the latest science, research, such as the AQE-funded projects, public health, education, and policy discussions happen in a clear, plain language communication. We believe the conference will align with previous AQCC requests regarding AQE-funded projects, and we hope you will attend. We'll confirm the date this month, but are looking at September-October timeframe, and we'd love to hear of any funding opportunities that you would be available to assist us in our efforts. And if the commission has conference suggestions, we'd be happy to have further discussions. So thank you for your leadership and partnership and your commitment to improving air quality across Colorado.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next up, we have Teresa Rizuela. Teresa.
Ahora sí. Sí, buenas tardes. Gracias por permitirme compartir con ustedes en este espacio. Gracias por escucharnos. Yo soy Teresa Brizuela y vengo en representación de las familias que están cercanas a la planta de Balmond de extracción de ceniza, que tengo la información o conozco la información de que en reportes recientes de finales del año 2025, principios del 2026, el Departamento de Salud Pública y Medio Ambiente de Colorado señaló que las propuestas iniciales de Excel en cuanto al monitoreo del aire exigen planes más rigurosos antes de otorgar los permisos para esa excavación. Algo que nos preocupa como miembros de la comunidad cercana y vulnerable, cercanas a la planta de Balbón, que son las más vulnerables, no tienen el conocimiento de qué va a pasar, cómo lo van a hacer, qué protección van a tener. No sé si ustedes están al tanto de esta situación y que nos gustaría saber como familias expuestas cuál va a ser la protección que va a brindar el Estado a estas familias, porque sabemos que ese proceso de limpieza va a llevar aproximadamente una década, o sea, 10 años de trabajo. Y nos gustaría saber qué protección van a brindar a la comunidad y de qué manera van a comunicar este proceso de limpieza. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Teresa. Next up, Elizabeth Samaripa. Elizabeth, are you out there? Okay, we'll come back. Next, Guadalupe Solis. Guadalupe, are you there? Okay. Mark Flick.
I know you can hear me, but you can't see me because there we go, start my video. Thank you very much. My name is Mark Flick. I live in Arvada. By trade, I am a freelance videographer. I have been a Colorado resident since 1977 when my wife and I moved here from Wisconsin. We have 2 children and 1 grandchild living in our wonderful state. I am concerned that the cost of equipment used in video production will be severely affected by companies having to comply with overly aggressive air quality regulations. I don't want to see manufacturers and businesses that sell video equipment be overburdened. They suffer. It follows too that I will suffer financially. Colorado already has some of the most stringent air quality rules and regulations of any state in the union. It is a little known fact that Colorado is one of the top 10 most regulated states in the country. Isn't it enough that Colorado businesses are already overburdened with mountains of paperwork, compliance with current air pollution regulations, and the cost of conducting and maintaining the testing process costs taxpayers and businesses millions, dollars that could be spent by being used more productively on improving the state's infrastructure. I'm afraid overzealous air quality regulations will drive businesses out of the state. Questions that need to be answered. Will this program impact everyday businesses? Will new businesses be allowed to move into neighborhoods? If so, does that mean that these rules and regulations are impacting land use as a whole? What is the land use around DIA going to look like? My name is Mark Flick. Please consider the effect, both intended and unintended, further regulation would have on our state's small businesses. Thank you for allowing me to submit my thoughts and ideas to you regarding air quality regulations in Colorado. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next up, Gary Wilder.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Gary.
Okay, it's like my video done went kapooey. It's not functioning. Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Gary Wilder. I am a Colorado resident who came to Colorado working in the oil and gas industry for more than 2 generations. Both my family and I have depended on the industry for our livelihood. As a teenager, I started at the bottom, working my way up through the ladder and various acquired skill sets, roustabout mechanic, electrician, drilling, fracking, and now I'm the CEO of my own business. Which brings me to think about the past employment, specifically environmental issues, where now Congress suggests a new proposed regulations resulting in new fines, fees, and other taxes. Such regulations will affect my family and me for generations. moreover, affecting my right to life, prosperity, property, and a right to earn a living. Where now the AQCC is considering imposing new regulations and penalties for minor violation, this would undoubtedly affect my business as a small business. The proposed regulations will affect my life, business, and family, subsequently causing me to ask whether or not this is an infringement on my Colorado protected constitutional rights. Another supportive industries throughout will also suffer. Not to mention the inadvertent regulation infringements on existing contractual and obligations for companies, forcing them to relocate to another state. Since 2019, Colorado lost 98 companies and 13,000 employment jobs due to regulatory infringements. On the other hand, it is not a one-shoe-fit-all scenario where statutory protections require AQCC to offer compliance education rather than regulatory inference. Therefore, I ask the AQCC and its astute representatives to consider the ramifications of imposing new regulations that infringe, and that it will do more harm than it will do good, and it will cause leading, costly, combative reform. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Next up, we have Gisela Gardia.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Gisela Gardea, and I work as a Civic Engagement Fellow working with a nonprofit organization working with Colorado Latina communities and Hispanic communities. I myself am a Latina, and I want to highlight that our communities are often located near polluted areas and already breathe air filled with toxins. We cannot keep observing the costs of climate inaction. In Colorado, the Air Quality Control Commission has a responsibility to make the rules that limit air pollution and to make decisions that deepen the environmental burden we already carry. I urge the Commission to lower air toxics for all residents while prioritizing communities of color that are disproportionately affected by oil and gas operations, industrial manufacturing, and large industrial engines. We must hold industries accountable for not keeping their facilities up to date and for not staying in compliance. We must develop standards that encompass the impacts of multiple air toxins that can be breathed in together. Communities of color are more likely to be exposed to harmful air toxins that lead to respiratory problems, increased cancer risks, skin irritation, neurological effects, cardiovascular problems, and reproductive problems. In addition, within these communities, we face healthcare barriers such as low income, limited access to healthcare, and long working hours that make it difficult for communities of color to seek medical care. The burden of my community experiencing higher exposure and structural barriers to seeking a medical provider increases health inequalities and sheds light on continuous actions of environmental injustice. I once again urge the Commission to take action to reduce air toxics, continue compressive air quality monitoring and assessment, and adopt health-based standards that include provisions addressing benzene exposure. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next up, Sandra Dugan. Sandra Dugan? Okay. Priyanka D'Souza. Are you there, Priyanka? Carol Baker.
Hello, I'm Carol Baker. We moved to Aurora in 2002. We had vacationed here and visited family, but once we moved here, we had to learn where there were more than just the vacation spots. As a pharmacist, after our children left home, we had to I took jobs in small towns across the state where there's a shortage of healthcare workers. It was an adventure. Most of my career was working in the suburbs, however. In Lakewood, for instance, the pharmacy had regular customers from Netherland, Fairplay, and Bailey. And over time, our customers, or patients, as I like to refer to them in the pharmacy, they would inquire about any new pharmacist. In return, they recommended other businesses to me. And I noticed a pattern. The owner of the bowling alley recommended the cake decorator and florist. The florist recommended an orthodontist, and they recommended to me a place to get my oil changed. Soon it was clear that these business owners contribute to the rhythm of the community. Today, I understand that the commission is considering an air quality issue, and that affects all of us. Specifically, as you consider compounds that will be considered that need to be monitored as toxic air contaminants, I wonder what businesses and institutions are likely to be emitting compounds of concern. Will a pharmacy, a florist, a cake decorator, an orthodontist, or an oil and lube service need to be monitored? If so, then how high or low will the standards be set? Would you expect the day-to-day business to exceed the standards? If your requirements are not attainable and businesses are not likely to meet them, then will you persuade them to get in compliance by serving them fines? What if the fines affect their profit margins to the point of closing their business or leaving Colorado? Consider the risk. And I don't want to live in a state that only has nameless, faceless, big box stores that are influenced by regulations from big government. Be careful to establish regulations that accomplish just what is necessary.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Next up, we have Daniel Price. Daniel Price. Thomas Acker.
Hello, I'm Thomas Acker, and I live in Mesa County. I want to thank the Air Quality Control Commission for the opportunity to comment on the importance of the Commission for the well-being of Colorado residents. The federal government has demonstrated it is not a reliable partner in protecting our air quality. For example, the EPA is proposing flexibilities for toxic coal waste. Closer to home, the U.S. Energy Department announced that under the emergency order, the Craig coal plant is prevented from shutting down until at least June 28th, or so long as there is an energy emergency, which will likely open the door for polluting energy sources. I'm a resident of Grand Junction and live in the Grand Valley. I recall looking down on the Grand Valley from the 10,000-foot mesa and looking at the inversion cloud of foul air hanging over the valley. The effects of this air were detrimental to my wife, who is a chronic asthmatic. We're fortunate to have health insurance that covers the cost of her expensive medication, but not all Colorado residents are so fortunate. Our valley's geography between the Book Cliffs and the Grand Mesa is conducive to concentrating smog at lower elevations, extreme cases being the inversion. Add to that the fact that we have a very rudimentary mass transit system, which requires commuting alone in passenger cars and trucks as the most common means of transportation. 10 miles to the south is the county landfill, and to our west is the municipal sewage treatment plant. So in our immediate Grand Junction vicinity, we have the main producers of formaldehyde, hydrogen sulfide, and benzene. The defunding and weakening of federal agencies like the EPA make it essential for the states to develop a robust mechanism to ensure that air quality is not compromised and thus protect the health of Colorado's residents. The Air Quality Control Commission's role in protecting our air could not be more obvious. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Next up, we have Azmal Hassan. Azmal? Okay. James DeVore.
Good afternoon. My name is James DeVore, and I am the environmental manager at Platte River Biogas. Platte River Biogas operates an anaerobic digester facility in Weld County and is currently the only facility in Colorado to which the proposed hydrogen sulfide requirements for anaerobic digesters and Regulation 30 would apply. Platte River Biogas has submitted formal written comments on the proposed regulation, but I also want to take this opportunity to provide brief verbal comments to highlight our primary concerns. We support the division's goal of reducing hydrogen sulfide emissions and agree that the best management practices for anaerobic digesters are appropriate. Our concern is that the proposed Regulation 30 is overly specific to Platte River Biogas existing operation and appears in several cases to reflect how our facility currently operates, rather than generally applicable regulatory framework. As written, the regulation would make it very difficult for a future anaerobic digestion or renewable natural gas facility to operate in Colorado unless it were designed almost exactly like Platte River Biogas. Renewable natural gas facilities across the country vary wildly based on feedstock, system design, technology choices, and then production goals and perceptive rule risks, discouraging future development and innovation. I want to highlight two specific provisions where Platte River Biogas requests revisions. First, the regulation where it references bio-rim trickling filters for H2S control. Regulations should be technology neutral and based not to a specific manufacturer. Second, the regulation requires all digester gas to be routed through biogas upper grader system. This is not technically feasible during normal operations. For these reasons, Platte River Biogas requests targeting revisions as outlined in our written comments. Thank you for this opportunity to comment, and we look forward to continued collaboration with the Commission.
Thank you, James. Next up, Julian Flores.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Julian Flores. I'm a lifelong Colorado resident, a father, and part of the disabled community. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my community and my daughter to express my support for the Commission's effort to establish comprehensive, science-backed standards for the state's first air toxics program, Regulation 30. As a Colorado resident concerned about public health, thoughtfully implementing Regulation 30 is essential for protecting our communities, particularly those that have been historically faced with disproportionate exposure to air pollution. I want to urge the Commission to pass the strongest possible form of Regulation 30 to protect community health from harmful air pollution. As a young father, I've seen many of my daughter's friends and classmates suffering from asthma and other respiratory issues. As a state, we should have strong measures in place to protect our communities, especially youth, the elderly, people with disabilities, and members of communities that are already dealing with environmentally detrimental impacts. I strongly encourage the Commission to accelerate the timeline for reviewing and regulating additional air toxins, documented cancer risks, high emission levels, and disproportionate impact on vulnerable communities. Make it critical that air toxics require immediate attention and regulation. Third, I also encourage the Commission to consider the cumulative public health impacts in its approach. Many communities already face exposure to multiple air toxins from various sources. The standards and implementation must account for how these pollutants interact and compound their effects, particularly in disproportionately impacted communities. Lastly, I ask that the Commission prioritize meaningful public engagement through this process by creating more accessible channels for community input, ensuring transparent communication about implementation, and actively seeking feedback from those most impacted by air pollution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Julian. Next, Scott Hardesty. Scott Hardesty. All right. Cassandra Wilson.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Fabulous. Hello, my name is Cassie Wilson, and I live near the Taruma facility in Lakewood, Colorado. I'm also the parent of an almost 2-year-old daughter, which makes this issue deeply personal for me. This facility operates within a vibrant, growing community, not in a remote industrial zone. Within just a short distance are neighborhoods full of young families, parks, childcare centers, and schools. Families like mine spend time outside every day, walking, playing, and simply trying to enjoy where we live. The reality is that many of us are raising small children in close proximity to a facility that uses ethylene oxide, a gas that has been clearly linked to increased cancer risk with long-term exposure. This is not an abstract concern. It's about the air my daughter breathes when we go for a walk, the air that comes through our windows, and the environment we are trusting to be safe as we build our lives here. The science around ethylene oxide is well established. The EPA has confirmed through multiple independent studies that long-term exposure increases cancer risk. At the same time, Recent federal actions have weakened regulations that were designed to significantly reduce these emissions. With those protections scaled back, it is now up to Colorado and leaders like you to ensure that communities like mine are not left vulnerable. I urge you to maintain and strengthen limits on ethylene oxide emissions and to require ongoing transparent fence line monitoring and regular audits at facilities like Tarumo. Strong regulations only matter if they are actively enforced and consistently monitored. As a parent, I think constantly about the kind of environment my daughter is growing up in. Families in this community shouldn't have to question whether the air in and around our homes is safe. We deserve the peace of mind that comes with knowing our health and our children's health is being protected. We are not asking for anything extraordinary, just the basic ability to live, work, and raise our families without fearing that the air we breathe could harm us in the long term. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Cassie. And last on the list is Sarah Geyer. Sarah, are you there? Okay, we'll go back to the top. Lauren Swain. Elizabeth Gillespie. Evan Bonney.
Yep, I finally made it.
Go ahead, Evan.
Thank you. Yep, hello, my name's Evan Bonney, and for the past 5 years, I've been proud to call Arvada home. In 2022, the LivaNova sterilization facility opened in the middle of an existing and thriving neighborhood while using the cancer-causing gas ethylene oxide. Within 1 mile are 2 preschools, an elementary school, and 4 fitness facilities, including the YMCA. Expanding to 3 miles are 2 more preschools, 3 elementary schools, Arvada West High School, Stanger Sports Complex, Apex Center Pool, and hundreds of homes. This is not an abstract issue. It's about the air our children breathe at recess, the air families breathe in their living rooms, and the air we all share. Certainly, the science and dangers of ethylene oxide are not in dispute and are not up for debate. The EPA has confirmed through multiple studies that long-term regional exposure increases the risk of cancer. However, in July 2025, Trump signed an executive order rolling back regulations on ethylene oxide for medical sterilization facilities, including LivaNova. Additionally, in March 2026, the EPA proposed completely rolling back 2024 regulations, which would have reduced emissions by 96%. Make no mistake, this is a windfall for industry profits and corporations while sacrificing the health of surrounding communities. With this protection stripped away, it is now up to Colorado to act. We have the tools, but tools only matter if we use them. You represent us, and when issues like this come up, the community looks for you to lead. I implore you all to maintain and strengthen the current proposed limits of Regulation 30 on ethylene oxide, and additionally require independent monitoring and audits as has been done at the Tuermo BCT facility in Lakewood. Regulations only matter with enforcement and oversight. Without it, they are meaningless. Unfortunately, I knew 2 people in this past year who died of cancer in their 30s, both leaving behind young children. I want any family to go through that kind of pain, least at all from something as basic as the air we breathe. And even though you might not live in one of these surrounding communities, remember, those of us who do, we have no choice. The air we breathe is not optional. We just want the same basic freedom as anyone else to live, work, and raise our families without wondering whether the air in our homes could one day cost our lives because those with the power to act chose not to. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Brian Powles. Hermine Bryan. Betsabet Samaripa. Guadalupe Solis. Sandra Dugan. Priyanka D'Souza. Daniel Price. Azmal Hassan. Scott Hardesty. And Sarah Skyer. Okay, that completes our registered list. If there's anybody on the call, we still have a little time. So if there's anybody on the call that did not register but has a comment to make around the regulation hearing tomorrow or other air quality concerns, please do so. Raise your hand. Okay, I'm not seeing any. So the time is 5:32, and this will conclude public comment. I do want to thank everybody for their time. We had a wide range of perspectives presented to us tonight. This is obviously a very difficult rulemaking, so we really do appreciate your comments and the time that you take, and would encourage you to keep it up, keep active, and stay in touch. And we will. Well, I'll leave it with that, and I'll offer my fellow commissioners an opportunity to voice their appreciation as well.
You're welcome.
Okay. Looks like commissioners, no comments. So the time is now 5:33. This meeting will be adjourned for tonight. We will resume with the hearing tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. The meeting is both in person and offers an online hybrid option as well. We look forward to seeing you, and until tomorrow, have a good night.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes, sir.
it looks like one of our commenters showed up. Sarah,
okay.
very last one on the list here. I'll reshare my screen.
Sarah Skyer, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, I was working. I work downtown, so I just got home. So, okay, sorry about that. So yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on clean air. I'm a resident. I live in Westminster, and it's very important to me. I'm a Colorado native, and clean air is very important to my neighbors, to myself, to the community. It's very important that we live such healthy lifestyles here in Colorado, and if we're not able to have clean air, it's going to affect everything. It's going to affect healthcare. It's going to affect every taxpayer. If they're sick, they get sick from the air, basically.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Are you? Oh, I think my internet connection is bad.
I can hear you.
Did I cut you off, Sarah? I'm sorry.
No, you did cut me off. I just wanted to make sure you knew how important it was to me. Like I said, I'm a runner. I'm always outside. Most people in Colorado like to be outside hiking, biking, enjoying the outdoors, and clean air is a top priority in Colorado.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining late, Sarah. Appreciate your time, and again, appreciate everybody's perspective. The commission will definitely be thinking about this and using it in our deliberations. So again, thanks all, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me speak. Have a great night, everyone.
Too.
Thank you.